It's 9 o'clock on this Thursday night.
Yes,
This
sir.
is the Live Zone Primetime. I'm producer Chris. That is Tony P. Thank you
Good to
so
see you,
much
my friend.
for
How we
joining
doing?
us, whether you're watching on Fox Local or Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay on this Thursday, I'll tell you. You know
Doing
what?
okay on this Thursday.
That temp just dropped a little bit lower. We're kind of back towards that Arctic polar vortex
so let's
that I
talk
don't like
about
to
it.
see, my friend.
I know. Let's talk about it a little bit because it's going to get real cold. Some of the coldest weather we've seen all year this weekend. As a matter of fact, right now we're taking a live look from our Fox 5 Skycam over Rockville, Maryland. You can't quite
wow.
see it. Can't quite see
That's
it.
we have it on an apartment building? That's pretty cool.
But I promise you, there is still snow on the ground. It has been this weekend marks 2 full weeks since that storm, and we are still talking about ongoing winter storm cleanup efforts all across the DMV, Tony P. Listen, this city has been working around the clock to haul snow out of here, get it over to RFK where it's out of the way, clear some of those lanes, because what we keep seeing, and we see right here in Montgomery County in Bethesda as well, where snow is still blocking 1 lane of traffic. So what should be 3 lanes is basically going down to 2, going down to 1, causing horrific backups for traffic for people who are going in and out of work as well.
Absolutely horrible.
So just a huge, huge headache still going on all across the DMV out there tonight, Tony P. And I know you've been dealing with it, walking around the city as well.
Oh, I'll tell you, my shoes, all dress shoes, sneakers, they have taken a hit, and some of the protective soles on the bottom have actually scraped off because of how rough it is out there, and the snow and the ice. And what's really interesting too is that you see people observing what I would call sidewalk etiquette now, because the paved and painted, the parted roads, we'll call it, I can't find the right phrase, the parted sidewalks are so small that only can really take 1.5 people. So you got to go out to the side, you got to lay on top of the snow igloo icicle mix that we have, and you got to sit there and wait, and you kind of go like you do like when you're walking or you drive. Hey, you come here, and you go. Like, I'll go. You come in here, and there's like that etiquette.
Single file. There's also a great meme out there. They were saying basically headed into Valentine's Day, where this could be an excuse to meet the love of your life because you basically got to get face to face.
Exactly. There's a great video.
Squeezing past.
Awesome video on social about that one. It's for going to making the rounds. You know what though? I will say, it is showing the unity in this community, DMV, DC generally, that people are out there shoveling, they're helping people out, they're enjoying this, they're making the best of it. There are concerns, of course, with schools and everything, but
we've talked about
people are keeping it somewhat lighthearted as best they can.
Here's what I'll say. 11 days since that storm hit, it is still the big story all across the DMV, though. Sydney Persing has more on those ongoing efforts across the DMV to clean up that snow. She'll be live at the top of the hour right here on Fox Local. Shamari Stone dealing with another water main break. This one down in Georgetown, right near
another
M
one?
Street.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, when those temperatures fluctuate.
Right.
Listen, it hasn't gotten warm by any means.
No.
But when those temperatures fluctuate dramatically and it's going to get real cold again, those water main breaks become a major issue.
Yeah.
I know, water crews all around the region have been dealing with those. And then Josh Rosenthal is talking about the impact winter can have on our mental health. So that's all coming up tonight on Fox 5
I'd love to
News
hear that
at
because it's so
10,
true.
right here on Fox Local, Tony.
You know what's really interesting too? I think this storm is going to graduate because of the after effects to a Wikipedia article about it. There's a lot of big storms.
Question.
The storm in '96,
You know,
the blizzard of
does it have-
'78. This is going to be the
Correct me if
blizzard
I'm
in
wrong,
DC.
And you are my branding guy, but you know, back in the day we had Snowpocalypse and Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
Did this storm get a name for us? Not like one of those Weather Channel names. We don't
I got
subscribe
one.
to that
Snowgate.
crap. Snowgate?
Snowgate.
That's so DC, Tony P.
I mean,
I don't love
but
it.
it's a DC storm. Snowgate.
Well,
I think
know it is, but all those other ones were as well. I mean, obviously they impacted other regions as well.
True,
And
good
listen,
point.
There are other areas dealing with this as well. But I know sometimes we like to assign these names to these storms to try to identify.
Or Snow
them. So
Diplomat.
if I'm wrong, and you guys know that there is one, let us know. You just got to scan that QR code. You can join our Zoom room. We'll check
give
with
us
you guys
one. That'd be kind
in
of
just
funny.
a little bit. Hello to Melissa. Hello to Sandra, who are both in the Zoom room. We'll check in with you guys.
Yes, we will.
Coming up here in just a little bit. Thank you for joining us. In the meantime, though, we do want to get to our other big story tonight, and this one of a much more serious note, obviously. We are talking about the ongoing search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. It has been 5 days since the Today Show host's mom disappeared. Her name's Nancy. She's 84 years old. Right now, what you're looking at is a live picture from outside Nancy Guthrie's home. That is that top box over to Tony P's left, stage right, TV right, not sure. And the bottom picture right there, that is Annie Guthrie, Savannah's sister's house. But obviously not much action right now. It's been a little more than 24 hours, though, since Savannah and her family released a statement to her mother's kidnappers, basically asking for proof of life. Officials have still not identified any suspects or persons of interest in the 84-year-old's abduction. Let me drop those for you real quick. They did, however, give a more detailed timeline from the hours after she was last seen Saturday night. Authorities say she went to a family member's home around 5:30 and was dropped back off at her own home just after 9:45. Then at 1:47 Sunday morning, her doorbell camera disconnects. Then about an hour later, software detects a person on camera just before her pacemaker disconnects. I want you to take a listen to the press conference, part of it, from earlier today.
We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it.
Now, one person was arrested for an imposter ransom demand.
Right.
There is now a $50,000 reward for information that could lead to Nancy's recovery or the arrest of whoever abducted her. Now, at the same time, one of the two deadlines mentioned in the ransom note sent to TMZ has now passed. That was 5 o'clock Mountain Time today. Another deadline, there were two deadlines mentioned. The next one is Monday. Investigators say they have no proof Nancy Guthrie is still alive, but they are holding out hope she's, quote, still out there, Tony Pig.
Again, just absolute tragedy when we think about, you know, the ransom letter, and if this is true, and again, we saw an imposter today. I mean, that's just, it just goes to, I think, the internet culture and the pop culture that we have where situations like this become sensationalized. And it really is just tragic for Savannah Guthrie. Her family has to go through that and deal with an imposter and then have to deal with those emotions and then still have so many unknowns about this ransom letter. Is it true? Is there proof of life? We're not seeing any of that at the moment from whoever this may be. And I just keep hearkening back, Chris, to the beautiful testimony that they gave on social media last night, the Guthrie family in Savannah, of course, just wanting to find a way to get their mother home.
Yeah.
And they're willing, they're willing, you know, to negotiate and willing to potentially exchange resources to get Mrs. Guthrie home and safe. And again, let's not forget, she is elderly, she takes medication, and if she's away from that medication for a long period of time, that could impact her health, not just now, but in the future. So we just pray for her safe return. But this is an absolutely tragic case, my friend. Just
well,
look at
we
the
want to
timeline.
dive a little deeper into it, more on the investigation. Arif Halaby joins us now live. Arif is a crime crisis analyst, a former member of the LAPD, and a national security expert. Arif, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Live Zone Primetime.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. It's an incredibly sad time for the Guthrie family, but very calculated in their message last night. And I think even now, the investigation has really taken a real broad turn. So we're hopeful it's going to yield results.
Well, let's start off by talking about the investigation. You know, it started off with very few details, but it has become more and more clear that they are investigating this as a kidnapping, as an abduction. Talk to me a little bit about how that process has played out so far.
Yeah, they've already begun to widen the circle. Think of it as concentric circles, meaning they've gone out to everything from ATM cameras to even on Highway 19. It's one of the main north-south arteries that leads to the Mexican border. So if there's any thought about a Mexican connection or a cartel or anything of that nature, that highway would be one that would be utilized. And I want to say there's 7 high-definition cameras through that major north-south corridor, so that's important. And then another 50 cameras that are red light cameras and other cameras that are used for traffic, speed, etc. So I think they've been pulling all of that data. There's other cameras that are set up just by WeatherBug and private gas stations and other stores. So there's a team taking care of that. But in addition to all of that, they have their HRT, which is their hostage rescue team, the FBI's elite force. A lot of men and women that serve in those agencies, especially in the high risk ones, have come from our special forces, retired or former service members from Delta or Navy SEALs, et cetera. So those men and women that are serving in that group, in that capacity as well. So everybody's on the ground, from physical force to technical geeks, if you will, that are pulling data.
When looking at your experience in this type of situation, and looking at the ransom letter itself with the different parameters and the deadlines and how it was disseminated to different national and local outlets, how do you see this impacting the investigation, and how are investigators responding, as well as the family, to a letter with these type of scenarios and structures behind it?
Yeah, Savannah is a very well-trained attorney and PR person and media person. So she makes a living off of reading teleprompters and reading other people's words and making it sound like it's hers. It's not a jab or disrespect. It just shows she has an incredible talent. So when she read that letter yesterday, 24 hours ago, she read it with some deliberate emphasis on certain words and certain sentences. That's powerful because it tells you and I that during those words and those sentences, it was probably managed, manipulated, guided, or directed, you pick the word, by the FBI's behavioral science unit. Folks that are designed to psychologically get in the head of this particular person and get them to move. I have to share something with you that is just shocking to me, and I remember this even as a young police officer. People don't realize if you're going to kidnap an elderly lady, you generally don't have a sense of, oh gosh, golly gee, I'm going to bring her back because you said pretty please. It doesn't work that way. These people don't understand the same language. Now, certainly I'm not trained as an FBI profiler, but I can tell you, on the streets when women are attacked or when people are robbed or homes are burglarized, there's no pretty please. You have to meet it with violent, brutal force. It's the only way to protect yourself. And I know they can't really go there because they're struggling. But if you watch yesterday, the son, I think it was Cameron, is Savannah's brother, incredibly, I guess, restrained. I would say if you look at him, he was quite angry, not just hurt or sad, but he was angry, and you could see that in his face.
Arif, speaking of the family, speaking of that statement, they basically asked for proof of life. They also asked basically for an open line of communication. The sheriff's deputies have said that, it would be up to the family if they wanted to negotiate, if they wanted to pay a ransom. What is happening behind the scenes in terms of communication between the family, possibly with the kidnappers, and the FBI and law enforcement in terms of, obviously we've all heard it is the policy of, police departments, it is the policy of the United States not to negotiate in these sort of situations. But when it comes to a family in this situation, what kind of advice are they getting, and what kind of recommendations would law enforcement make?
Oh boy, Chris, that's a very good question. I'm going to go here, and it's going to be a little bit controversial, but you have to kind of follow it for a second. There's something called KNR, Kidnap and Ransom Insurance. A lot of large corporations have it. You saw this in Central America during the El Salvador, Nicaragua wars, the civil wars back in the 80s. You saw this in Africa, in the Middle East. You see it all over the world. The Philippines, businessmen and women that travel to the Philippines for work, it's quite common to have business people kidnapped. High-profile people, celebrities, and maybe even celebrity families also have that insurance. Now, certainly they can. The way it works is you have to front the money. So you front the money, and then the insurance reimburses it. Now, they send a team. So there are private negotiators. I know this with some folks on the ground, some of my contacts in Tucson. There's a private team working with Savannah and her family in conjunction with the FBI. Now, that private team has access to certain things that the FBI may not have access to, and certain permission and certain rules that they follow that's slightly different. And that matters when you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to pay a ransom and how you're going to pay that ransom. And the family is in a tough spot. Look, you and I would give our life savings for our loved ones. So I don't think that's at all questioned. It's just what happens next if that's the case.
When we look at the overall timeline here of this investigation and things of that nature, what are some of the techniques that investigators, local and federal partners are using to actually put this timeline together and figure out physical evidence and coordinating responses? How does that work when you have federal partners, local police, and some of these more private teams potentially involved?
Well, the FBI Crime Lab is probably one of the best in the world. There might be one or two others that are rival competitors for that #1 spot, but really the FBI Crime Lab is one of the best. In fact, it handles investigations of our friendly allies, our foreign countries. Well, they will send things to the FBI headquarters to get reviewed, et cetera. So think of it like this, and that's right in your area, in Virginia and Baltimore. There's certain labs that will be used by the FBI. With that being said, think of it like this. The FBI's job is to pull all the data. They already have all the data from Savannah's phone, from her brother, from her sister, from in-laws, from neighbors, anybody who is in that area. They've pulled that data already. So they can tell if there was at 2 in the morning a phone traveling down the street, stopped. It's difficult to do that at 5 in the afternoon. People are coming and going. But most of us will have our phones stationary at home, except for the 1 or 2 bad guys. Now, in addition, let's say the bad guy decided not to do this, not to take his phone. The vehicles that you and I drive, if they're 20 years old, maybe even 25 years old, they have OnStar, they have other digital footprints, GPS, MapQuest, whatever we might have on our cars. Well, that is all linked to a satellite. And most cars today have a 2-way communication, not just one.
Right.
It isn't just receiving GPS, it's sending data back up. And that is important because that is also going to be tested and checked. It already has been, I'm confident, to see what cars were moving. And because there's 50 plus cameras in various capacities going up and down the Highway 19, I think they'll make a decision if this person has left the area or is still there.
Ara, from your experience and in your opinion, and I know you are not connected to this case as it stands right now, but does this strike you as a situation that was meticulously pre-planned or a random, seemingly random crime of opportunity?
So the timing of this is everything. For example, if it was 5:30 in the afternoon or 12:30 on a Sunday after church, that could be somebody was trying to break into the house, she walks in, somebody's there, and the burglar has to make a decision of what he or she's going to do. That's often the case with some of these spontaneous kidnappings. Sometimes they say, well, since I'm here and I already have you and you've seen me, I'm going to take you to the ATM, let's pull some money out. That's often a default, not always necessarily the plan. But kidnappings are not uncommon in the world. It's quite common. You can't go to work in Sao Paulo, Brazil, or South Africa, we call it Joburg, Johannesburg, South Africa, without having to take a helicopter or a full security vehicle. Try to buy an armored car today. There's a backup of inventory. It's 6 months to 2 years to buy one.
Wow.
In other words, it's a very common occurrence. We have family and friends down in Sao Paulo. They take a helicopter to work, land on the building, and go out to the suburbs. They don't drive the streets. You need to understand that because most of the world deals with kidnapping is kind of like we deal with bank robberies. It's there. It happens often.
So
with that in mind, guys, this is a very important timeline. 2 o'clock in the morning means they waited for her to be there. They knew somebody was home. They destroyed the camera. They went directly. So short answer, I think it's targeted.
So one of the biggest stories, not biggest stories, but some of the stories we've been hearing is about the neighborhood that Mrs. Guthrie lives in. It's a very spread out suburban area in Pima County. When looking at the location itself, how does that impact the investigation, and did that potentially play a role in the crime itself and what this perpetrator decided to do? Like the location, does that have that impact based on where she is, suburban, spread out, and things of that nature?
Yeah, if there's any electronic footprints, then it's much easier in this type of an environment because it's not going to be polluted with all of the other devices, people coming, going, walking, going to the store, coming home from work. You're not going to see that as an issue if it's in a very sparsely populated area such as this. So that's a benefit. But the drawback also is nobody's going to see anything. It's very difficult. You can go outside of your home, walk your dog through the backyard or whatever it might be, and not see some stranger driving down the highway or driving down the side street. So it's a bit more isolated. It's really kind of like a family. You have to know who's coming in the neighborhood. But if they're looking at electronic signatures, if there's any breadcrumbs, if you will, left behind, they'll find it through that method specifically.
Got it.
All right. Arif Halaby, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Prime Time and lending your expertise to what is obviously a story that has captivated attention nationwide.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate you guys.
All right, and of course, we will stay on top of this story. If there are any developments, not only during this newscast or moving forward, we will bring them to you live as they happen. We're going to take a quick break, leave you with some live pictures from all across the region and the Mid-Atlantic. When we come back, Tony P is going to share some of the other stories he's been keeping an eye on this Thursday. We'll be right back. You're watching the Live Zone Prime Time. Welcome back to Live Zone Prime Time on this Thursday night here with Tony P. I'm producer Chris. Thanks to everyone out there watching. Just a heads up, Tony's going to share his rundown, what he was watching throughout the course of the day. Coming up a little later, though, we are going to talk about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl halftime.
Yes.
He gave his press conference today. So
I'm holding back on that. I'm not going to give you that information today, folks.
If there are any Bad Bunny fans out there and you guys are looking forward to that Super Bowl halftime show, go ahead and scan that QR code, join the Zoom room, and we want to chat with you coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, Tony P, talk to us about what else.
All right, let's run through it. Not as sexy as headlines as the Bad Bunny and Super Bowl, but I got some pretty good ones for you. We're going to start here in D.C. The Senate faces a funding deadline for the Department of Homeland Security next week. The dispute centers on ICE authority and enforcement limits. Democrats want statutory guidelines on detention practices and use of force standards written into the bill. Republicans, meanwhile, oppose attaching policy conditions to funding overall. DHS funding expires within days, and there seems to be a potential impasse in the negotiations that are bipartisan between Senate Democrats and Republicans. A lapse would affect ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and parts of FEMA, while other federal agencies remain funded as part of last week's budget deal. President Donald Trump today launched Trump RX, a federal website aggregating pharmacy discount cards, manufacturer coupons, and price comparison links. The platform routes users to existing savings programs at major chains and mail order services. It does not set price caps, negotiate rebates, or mandate manufacturer reductions, and the administration says the site increases price transparency and is live today. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. referenced a small clinical and metabolic study suggesting ketogenic diets may influence symptoms of schizophrenia through changes in glucose metabolism and inflammation markers. The cited study involved limited sample size and short durations. Psychiatric associations state diet changes do not replace asymphyosodic medication or standard treatment protocols, and there was definitely a back and forth today from the medical community. The IRS reassigned employees recently without prior tax rolls to assist with phone support during peak filing tax season this year. Reassigned staff are now handling basic refund status questions and filing logistics. The agency is addressing staffing shortages and call backlogs due to employee cuts last year in the Big Beautiful Bill. Employee representatives warn about training gaps and accuracy risks this coming tax season, as well as some delays potentially on those coveted tax returns. The Trump administration has directed agencies today to reduce telework, expand in-office requirements, and accelerate removal procedures for federal employees. New guidance from the Office of Personnel Management shortens performance review cycles, tightens probationary employee evaluations, and streamlines disciplinary timelines. Agencies must justify remote arrangements and document underperformance more quickly in the new guidance. Unions now argued that this policy weakens civil service protections. Bitcoin today dropped below $40,000 in the markets, extending a multi-day sell-off. The broader crypto market declined alongside it as well, and analysts cite tighter liquidity conditions, regulatory enforcement actions, and profit-taking after last year's gains as reasons for the drop. In the world of business, Spotify will begin selling physical books through its app today. Users can purchase print editions after listening to audiobooks, and the move expands Spotify's publishing footprint and places it in direct competition with established booksellers now. It'll be kind of cool to see where that ends up. Actor Will Arnett disclosed that the Smartless podcast terminated an interview recently with a very famous comedian within 10 minutes due to the guest's conduct. Arnett said the episode will not air, and he also confirmed the show withheld another episode at the guest's request over career concerns. I would love to know who that person may be. I have some guesses, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
Names.
I promise you, I don't want to do that. I want to throw shade, especially shade that is unfounded. Now, in the world today of Black History Month, of course, we're talking about, I always call it about real history here. We got to give it all. And I'm looking forward to this one. One of my favorite artists, Nat King Cole, was the first Black American to host a nationally televised TV talk show. The Nat King Cole Show debuted in 1956 on NBC, but was canceled a year later. Nat King Cole, later in his career, said it was because of advertiser pushback. And I got to tell you, that's just very, very sad. As I watched some clips of the show today, it was absolutely fantastic. And I think back in that period, 1950s, it was still a very, very awful time for race relations in America. Mm-hmm. For him to go up there and have that show and just deal with all that, that takes a lot of courage, grit, and creativity. So Nat King Cole, not only a great singer, my favorite Christmas song is his, but I think the fact that he's also a talk show guy now, he's up in my pantheon of people I look up to. So another great Black History Month fact, and this is all about talking about all the history in this country, and it's it's rich, it's full of story, and we got to tell it.
Will Arnett. I wish he would name names, but I'll be honest with you. If you saw the headline about Jason Bateman yesterday, they may have wished they withheld that Smartless episode they did with Charlie XCX because he's feeling the backlash for some of the questions he asked
right.
her.
Yeah, it was about what was it about? It was about
having kids.
Kids, right?
Yeah,
right. And then you had the share situation too. That was Dak Shepard, but you had these type of podcasts. They're kind of similar in nature.
Well, the deal with the Smartless thing is that they surprise each other with guests, so they don't necessarily always know who's coming on, so they don't necessarily know everything about the person they're about to sit down and chat with. So there's some extenuating circumstances.
True.
Tony P, we're going to take a commercial break here, so I do want you to tell me who you think it was.
I'm not going to do. You put me on the spot.
No. Our mics will be off.
Okay, good.
It'll just be you and me talking. And
good. I don't want to go viral for that.
I won't repeat anything. All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to kick off our countdown to Super Bowl 60, talk a little bit about Bad Bunny and that halftime show. In the meantime, though, the other major sporting event happening around the world, the Winter Olympics. So we're going to take you to Milan, Italy. That's a live shot right now. of the what is it? The Piazza di something?
I
Tony
think so.
P?
It's a piazza or a coliseum or something like that. Because again,
Piazza del Duomo in central Milan, ahead of the Winter Olympic Games. Opening ceremonies.
I thought the Duomo was
scheduled
in
for
France.
Friday. We'll leave that live picture up. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back. Man, I really thought there was going to be music on this, and we were going to get hype here for a second.
But hey, you know what though?
I'm not going to throw shade. I'm not going to throw any shade, but how?
I'll do a little snap, little beat
clip.
going.
Look at how upbeat and energetic it is. How is there no sound on this video? That hurts my heart.
I mean,
Tony
you know,
P.
and now
my heart.
But you know what though? I can just feel the
I blame myself
passion and the intensity and the warmth in this
sure
video.
can.
So you know
Anyway,
what? That doesn't need sound. I can imagine in my head.
I appreciate that, Tony P. This is the trailer for Bad Bunny's halftime show that was released, I don't even remember when, a couple weeks ago.
I think so, yeah.
As we count down to kick off Super Bowl Sunday, just a few days away. But, you know, it has been a massive week for him because Sunday he won Album of the Year at the 2026 Grammy Awards. Now he's set to take the biggest stage in the world for the Super Bowl halftime. Today, though, he held his press conference. They always have that press conference with the halftime performer and all the other performers. Apple Music does this these days. And he talked about his highly anticipated halftime show. Christian Captain was there as Bad Bunny took the stage. He's one of the most streamed artists on the planet. He shared some clues about what to expect during that, I mean, just hugely in demand and watched.
Anticipated,
show. Take a listen.
But hey, we are talking Bad Bunny. We just got out of the press conference with Bad Bunny, the halftime show. I got to tell you guys, the moment he came in the room lit up. Everybody very excited about this show. Bad Bunny, keep in mind, coming off of a huge series of Grammy wins. He is mid-tour right now, taking a little bit of a detour here into San Francisco and the Bay Area to come talk about the halftime show and to perform at the halftime show on Sunday. He said that he is very excited, and he says he's a little humbled by all of this as well.
I'm excited about this performance. I'm excited, but at the same time, how I said before, I feel more excited about the people than even me, about my family, about my friends, people that I know that they always have believed in me and they happy because this moment, the culture, and that's what made this show to me make it special. I'm trying to enjoy it, and I know that I'm gonna have fun.
He told us that he was very excited about all of this, getting to share his culture, getting to share some of his music with us. One of the cool things that they're doing for this show as well is they're going to have sign language interpreters in multiple languages to make sure that it's accessible to everyone, hearing impaired, deaf, hard of hearing, Spanish, English. You know, really, this is one of those opportunities to share the game with the world.
That was Christian Captain reporting. Another cool thing, Tony P, is the Wall Street Journal reported today. You're taking a look at this post on Instagram that they had. Bad Bunny told viewers they had 4 months to learn Spanish before the Super Bowl. He made that announcement during his when he hosted SNL, and people are actually doing it.
I love
number
it.
of people who have taken Spanish lessons, who have joined Duolingo to take Spanish lessons, has surged. You can check out that full story on the Washington, the Wall Street Journal, I should say, on their Instagram page, Tony.
I mean, this is how you build a great movement and have cultural, I would just say, like, just pantheon moments, so that's best I can describe it. Like, you know, moments like this that can not only bring people together, there's going to be great dancing and great music and culture at the Super Bowl, but it can move people to learn a language and to break down barriers.
Right.
Just the fact of him being there is starting to get people to want to learn Spanish and communicate in different ways and just stop, you know, and bring down, you know, this awful stigma that we're seeing in the country right now. And again, I just love to see what he's doing here, because learning a language, breaking down barriers, it's how we're going to move forward through understanding. And this man's doing it before he even sets foot on the stage. This is the power of having someone like him as the halftime performer.
Before we went to break, I asked people to join the Zoom room and hang out with us and talk a little Bad Bunny. Sandra and Melissa have been in the Zoom room the whole hour, so I'm putting you guys on the spot. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm generalizing, but Melissa Rosario and Sandra Ruiz, both Hispanic last names, I'm assuming here. So are you guys Bad Bunny fans? Melissa, I'll start with you.
I mean, come on, you know, I teach dance, so I have to have him on my playlist. Mm-hmm. I've been knowing about him since he's been packing bags in the supermarket. He's been very humble, you know, and he just really, I like the way he's coming up and he's standing for himself, the security measures that he's taking, and how careful he is about how he speaks when he delivers a message. So yes, I am definitely a fan.
Sandra, are you a fan of Bad Bunny?
Oh yes, I'm definitely a big fan of Bad Bunny. I am actually very excited to see the Super Bowl and to see how it all plays out. I kind of have a little bit in my head that I think he's going to go with the tradition of Puerto Rico, because I'm Puerto Rican myself. So I'm hoping that he brings out the flavor and the authenticity and the culture of bomba. I'm excited. I'm more excited than the kids.
I love that. Now, what do you think about this movement with Duolingo, people wanting to learn Spanish, this call to action? How do you think a moment like this can impact, you know, bringing, you know, having people learn a language and pushing the culture forward? Like, how do you feel a moment like this could impact that?
For people that cannot afford to pay for apps or, you know, programs or schooling to teach them how to speak a different language, I think it's a good concept where you would take these songs and learn them word for word. It went viral on TikTok on how people were learning the lyrics to his song and literally trying to sound out the words. That is amazing to me, But, you know, it also gives you a taste of how to pronunciate, how to say a complete sentence without having to be in, you know, complete boredom on following and clicking the next page when it comes to language.
It's more interactive.
Sandra, any hopes for you know, guest stars, collaborations? Do you hope he's going to bring out someone like Cardi B since they had such a hit song together, or do you want it to just be all about the man in the moment?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm hoping that he brings out some more, you know, Puerto Rican, you know, artists. You know, like Cardi B. You know, she's not fully Puerto Rican, but I'm hoping to see like Mark Anthony, maybe a little J-Lo, maybe a little, I don't know, some other salsa or, bachata artists or whatever. I'm right now, my excitement just, it goes overflow. Like I'm just waiting to see what type of show he is going to perform and how humble he is. And I've been excited since Sunday for him, since he won,
Nice.
his awards and stuff like that. I just want to see him unravel as an artist, because this is a big thing for any artist to do the Super Bowl, and for him to get known all over the world for his music and his compassion. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be one of the most talked about things come Monday morning. So, of course, we're going to ask everyone out there watching to join us on Monday night. Share your thoughts about the Super Bowl the same way Melissa and Sandra joined us live tonight. Thank you guys both so much for spending some time with us here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Tony P. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to take you out. Live look across the region. That's Atlantic City. Doesn't look like much right now. But what I want to point out.
The lights.
What I want to point out. There you go. They're back here at home. The Washington. No, it's. Oh my God.
The Capitol. Washington. You can say the Capitol.
Good Lord. What am I talking about? The Capitol building. The temperatures, Tony P. Look at what that temperature says.
It's beautiful.
23 degrees. It has been bitterly cold. It's not warming up much. So what better time to strip down into your skivvies and go hit the streets for an underwear run? We're going to talk all about it because come hell or high water, people are going to be doing it soon enough. We're talking the Cupid Undie run coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
Goodness gracious.
Tony P., we're going to get them to take it off.
Oh.
Kolthoff. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Welcome back to the Live Zone Prime Time. Right now, you're taking a look at a bunch of people in their underwear, hitting the road. It's all for a good cause. That's what I want to start off by saying. However, that's a banana hammock right there. That's a brave. That was a brave man right there. That was a man who doesn't mind letting it all hang out. But why are we talking about this? Because the Cupid Undie run is coming up before you know it. February 21st, right here in Washington, D.C. Now, what makes this a little more interesting is that we are smack dab in the middle of one of the coldest stretches we have seen here in the DMV in years. So tonight we want to talk more about the Cupid Undie run, and to do so, we want to bring in race director Lily Kolthoff, joining us now live to talk more about the event, the great cause that it supports, and how you can join in all the fun. Lily, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so obviously this is always in February every year. No one can act surprised that it's going to be cold, but it's going to be real cold this year. So first and foremost, how do you even get ready for something like this?
That's a great question, and we have a lot of build-up. So while the event begins at noon, the run doesn't actually start until 2. So we have plenty of time to dance it out, maybe have a few drinks, party hardy, and then get ready for the run. And I will say, while it's the Undie run, we certainly welcome costumes as well. And should it be freezing or below freezing, we could alter the length of the route. But really, it's a quick, mile-ish long run, and it's a lot of fun.
Now, can you talk about the history of how this run started in this moment, who it's supporting, and like what has been some of the really cool highlights over the years that you have witnessed as this event has continued to expand?
Yeah, so the event began in 2010, and actually in DC. DC was our flagship city.
Wow.
And in the years since then, we've raised over $26 million across 335 events. And all of that money goes to the Children's Tumor Foundation, which does research into a group of genetic disorders called neurofibromatosis, or NF for short. And these disorders can cause tumors to grow anywhere on or in the body, in addition to a whole host of other related conditions. And I have been doing the race I was trying to figure this out, I think about 7 years now, and started event directing last year. And it's just been so lovely to see the evolution of the run over time, to see as an event director what other cities do to make their run unique to it, to the area. And also a few years back, before we moved to the wharf, we actually got to run down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Wow.
And that was a pretty awesome experience.
I can
to run
imagine.
past the monuments in my underwear. So there are plenty of pictures of that.
So where did the actual idea for the underwear aspect of Cupid's Undie run come from?
Yeah, the thing about NF is that it often has obvious physical manifestations. These can be anything from the characteristic birthmarks called cafe au lait to subcutaneous tumors to plexiform neurofibromas, which are large tumors that can be anywhere on the body. And so it often has very obvious physical manifestations. So the idea is that if people with NF aren't able to really cover up or hide their NF, then people who are doing this run, supporting the research, shouldn't cover up either.
Wow, I love that notion. That's very, very smart. Now, for people that are going out to the race coming up and the temperatures are still hovering around this 20, 30 degree mark, you may get better, we may not. What would be your advice to them if they're running for the first time, if they want to, of course, participate and, run in the undies, right? What are some of the best ways that they can keep warm in preparation and on race day so they can do this completely and not have any problems?
Yeah, again, we do plenty of partying ahead of time. We normally do a little warm-up stretch before we run. And it's, the idea is the undies, but obviously we welcome people to wear costumes. The run is a little over 3/4 of a mile, so it's a very, very short time. But like I said, if it is truly really cold, we may shorten it. But I've done it in all sorts of temperatures, and the cold really motivates you to get done a little bit faster.
Exactly. It kind of feeds in your brain saying, hey, let's get through this, fight or flight.
Okay, so,
Exactly.
Lily, let me ask you this, and I say this with all the respect and respecting people's agency as you can imagine. But if you wanted to convince someone to strip down and go for a run in their underwear.
Oh, you're
for the
pointing at
first
me?
time.
Oh,
and
God.
maybe they were a little hesitant, and you had to convince them. You had to sweet talk them a little bit.
God.
What kind of advice would you give to kind of maybe talk a first timer into
I know who you were
stripping down
pointing
and
at. You're
going for a
pointing at
run
this.
for the first time?
Just look at the screen.
What I like to say is that it's a really good time for a really good cause.
It is.
And it definitely is a little bit intimidating at first, but actually, at the event, once you come into registration, say you're there, we have our bag check / clothing check right then. So you are, going to party in whatever your costume or undies are straight from the beginning and kind of dive right in, and everybody there is there for a good time.
Yes.
For a good cause. And you kind of forget about it after the first few minutes.
I gotta say, I'm not totally not sold. I think I might actually think about doing this. And
all right, so it's working. It's working.
The cause seems really fun.
The peer pressure is working.
Like helping out a good cause is really always a good thing. And again, it's a fun occasion, and you blend those two things together, you have a home run. Now, when looking at the overall event, for this year, how can people sign up? What is the process to sign up for that? Are there certain waivers that they have to sign? Where should they meet up? Like, how does that process work for people like me if I decide to go on this?
Well, first I want to say that we would love to have you.
Getting there.
We would love to have you there. And I certainly encourage you to sign up. But folks can sign up at cupids.org. You can find your city there. So yes, we are in DC, but we're also in about 31 other cities, I think I counted. And so you can go there, press register, sign right up. Really nothing you need to do beyond that.
Nice.
And just come on down to the wharf. We'll be at Union Stage on the wharf on Saturday the 21st, starting at noon.
If you win the race, for example, is there any prizes involved here? Is there any extra donations, things of that nature?
Well, no prizes for the winner, but we do have prizes certainly for our biggest fundraisers.
Oh, nice.
If you don't necessarily want to sign up, I understand that. You can also go to the cupids.org website and donate as well. Or you could even volunteer. We certainly welcome that too.
That's pretty cool. I love it.
All right.
What a wonderful cause. That's awesome.
Right. We'll do our best to get them out there supporting you. Lily Koltoff, race organizer, the Cupid Undie Run. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Primetime. Please stay warm, have fun, raise a lot of money, and thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yes, thank you, and hope to see maybe both of you there.
Hey, right. You know what?
I have done it before. I was looking for proof to show Tony P that I have done it before.
Listen, this thing, I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
At all. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to leave you with a live picture from our Fox 5 sky cam above Frederick, Maryland. You see that snow on the ground. Think warm thoughts, Tony P.
Yeah.
Before you start taking it off.
I can see the cold just oozing from this picture.
We'll be
just
right
feel
back.
it.
Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime. Taking you back to Milan, Italy, where the Winter Olympics are set to get underway. The opening ceremonies on Friday. Tony P., the Olympics.
Ooh.
First question.
Okay.
Are you more of a Summer Games fan or are you more of a Winter Games fan?
I am more Summer Olympics because, first of all, I like warm weather sports and warm weather generally. I have grown out of anything cold after I failed in ice hockey. And what I mean is that the course was learn to skate. I never even got into the hockey team. I just was in the learning stage and I still stunk at it. So I'm not much of a winter fan. I do like, though, what's the luge where they go in the little boat thing and they slide down the...
Yeah, the track.
That's really cool to me. I find that fascinating.
The luge or the skeleton? The luge is when you go down feet first.
Yeah.
Skeleton, I believe, is when you go down head first.
I am more feet first because if I'm going to be, riding off that thing by some accident, I don't want my head going first.
No, me
so,
neither.
but I find that whole concept fascinating. Also, when they curling? Thank you.
With the brooms.
With I love
big
that.
discs,
That's really
classic.
cool stuff. There's a lot of precision behind that.
Not as into the downhill skiing, the moguls.
I get scared looking at that. I don't know
Yeah,
about you, my friend, but I get it's
Lindsey
close to
Vonn, she
just getting hurt.
her ACL and still plans on competing.
I know,
So.
and knowing her, she might win a medal.
Yeah, I
Though
wouldn't be shocked
how
at
just
all.
committed she is and the grit she shows when she goes out there.
Ice skating. The ice skating. I mean, that is obviously one of the ones that people are obsessed with.
Yes.
So you get into it.
But I kind of get what's the word, like not cringing, but I feel like my body leaves me when they're doing the flips and everything because I'm like, how do they land on without breaking their ankle?
I don't.
I mean, that just gets me.
That
I
alone-
physically leave my body in a good way.
Yeah, and I mean, that aside, just watching them twirl,
Yeah.
where they spin in place, not even leaving the ice, not even
Right.
jumping, but just spinning in place. How do they not get dizzy?
And the
Like,
partners dancing, the
how
partners
fast
skating and
they
everything.
go. Oh, my
Imagine that having to
goodness
time that.
Shout out though to the DMV's own Ilya Malinin, the quad god. He is a favorite to medal, if not win, gold in the men's figure skating. And he has been live right here on Fox 5 before.
Really?
Annie Mae has gone out to his training facility to interview him. Annie
Wow.
Mae's father was an Olympic skater, in case you didn't know.
I did not know
that. A
that.
lot of local ties, a lot of DMV ties to this upcoming Winter Olympic Games. Opening ceremonies Friday night, always a big deal. People get real excited about it. It's airing on another network, so we're not going to hype it up too much.
Yes.
But it is what it is. Tony P. Before that, though, the other big thing, obviously, back here at home, the Super Bowl. Tony P's Patriots, the P stands
Yes.
for Patriots, playing in that big game. And you got a little news from that NFL honors.
Yes, we did. So the NFL honors, of course, are happening. It's kind of like what I would say, for those who don't know, the Oscars of the NFL. They changed it to be actually an award show. I think it was about 5-10 years ago now.
That's where they hand out all the awards
Exactly.
for the season, the MVP, etc.
Yeah, and we have some big-time awards. So Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns, Defensive Player of the Year. We also have Christian McCaffrey, Comeback Player of the Year, San Francisco. We're talking about where the Super Bowl is. That's where he plays every year. But for the Patriots, two big awards. Assistant Coach of the Year went to Josh McDaniels, who returned after coaching for the Raiders, returned to the Patriots staff, and is now a winner of the Assistant Coach of the Year for another time. And also, Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots, has won his Coach of the Year award. I'm not sure if he won in Tennessee. I think he actually might have. It might be his second Coach of the Year honor, this first being for the Patriots. And I have to say, is that good luck? We'll see. We're also watching that MVP race. We talked about it last night.
Looking it up.
Will Drake May or Matthew Stafford get it? Do we have the winner yet?
Not that I've seen.
Not yet.
So that's
And we're
probably
kind of
gonna be
watching
the last
all the
one
screens
they hand
here, so
out
we're going
if
to
they
find
have it
out.
Now. Yeah, they probably.
Who do you
will
got,
be
my
in a
friend?
minute.
And again, no hate if you say the wrong
I
person.
think it'll be Matthew Stafford for the exact reasons that Jenks said last night, which is the fact
This
that
time.
it's going to be more of a career retrospective
All right.
and indicative. I mean, he had a great season, but I think it's going
Yeah,
to
they
be
both
more
did.
of that, the overall accomplishments. We're down to our final 15 seconds. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Watching the Live Zone Primetime on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. We'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're going to have more Super Bowl coverage.
Yes,
Kelsey
sir.
Nicole Nelson going to join us live out at Santa Clara. Fox 5 News at 10 coming up next right here on Fox Local. Have a good night.